The frustration that Jimmy displayed. Cornpop. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Without me, that's
Behold, pale horse. I'd pay $5 to see Jimmy Dore body slam a disagreeable guest. Just saying. LOL.
What the fuck?
So, Fox News actually told a little bit of truth about what's happening in Israel, Gaza, and nobody expected it. You know, you've lost almost everyone when Fox News broadcasts a call against Israel systematically murdering Palestinian journalists. And this does put, well, let's watch it. Here it is.
There are so many neighborhoods that are flattened.
This is what it looks like.
Palestinians that are internally displaced will simply have no homes to return to. And while we get a first-hand look at the destruction here, it's important to remember that Palestinian journalists do not have this access. They have been pushed to the south. Dozens have been killed.
There's this false narrative about Palestinian journalists. More than 100 of them have been killed by Israel since the war began. And I take very few positions in the conflicts that we cover. But let this be a position that I take. Journalists, specifically Palestinian journalists, must be protected amid the war. The Israelis have killed journalists in drone strikes. They've killed them with small arms fire, and it's unacceptable.
Oh, well, if there's any consolation, they kill American journalists. They kill all journalists who want to say anything, and they do worse to people that cross them. What do you like? Like, if it helps, they'll kill anyone.
This really puts the shitlibs in an awkward position because Fox News just stole all their compassion for the rest of the world. I'm kidding. Today's liberals don't give a F about anybody else except the ones who's going to invite them to the next important party. We know
I only
that.
care if they eat a big bag of Doritos or they eat an unhealthy cereal like Raisin Bran. That's what that's a liberal concern. Did you eat Raisin Bran, Kamala? That's the best interview she ever did. This, I talk to people all the time, their eyes glaze over.
It's be interesting to show this to your so-called liberal friends. And
Well,
watch
see the Fox News label?
and
That means they will blink out.
They're going to call it fake news because that's
Yeah,
how
it's
they were
fake.
dog trained to bark. No, Fox News, that can't be real. You want to watch this again? This was kind of stunning, don't you think?
There are so many neighborhoods that are
Look at this.
flattened. Palestinians that are internally displaced will
This is under the guise of they're fighting a war. The Palestinians don't have a.
There are so many neighborhoods that are.
So this is what the Palestinians could not do this to Israel. The Palestinians don't have. You know what the Israelis have? They have Black Hawk helicopters, F-16 fighter jets, 200-pound bunker buster bombs.
Oh, by the way,
You know what
they
the- you know what the
killed more
Palis-
Israelis
You know
than Hamas on October 7th. Israel did.
You know what the Palestinians have? They have hang gliders and Adidas sweatpants and flip flops.
Yeah. They didn't blow up all them cars. That's not
That's
possible
right.
with hang gliders and flip-flops. Possible with all the toys we gave Israel that they don't even know how to use properly. Or maybe they were.
There are
and they
so
just
many
killed their own people.
neighborhoods that are flattened. Palestinians that are internally displaced will simply have no homes to return to. And while we get a first-hand look at the destruction here, it's important to remember that Palestinian journalists do not have this access.
They will have no homes to return to. It's almost like that works out for the Israeli Zionist settlers.
Well, you know what's happening, right? The northern part of Israel, by Lebanon, like 60,000 Israelis are like, I'm getting the hell out of here. So I was watching Scott Ritter talk about it. You should get him back to talk about it. Very interesting. That pager thing they did?
Yeah.
Okay, just like Stuxnet and the other thing, Israel or Netanyahu specifically, because he's been there so goddamn long, if he thinks his power's about to slip, he'll use some secret tool no one's supposed to know about. He'll just blow it to save his ass or try to do something. So that pager technology is yet another thing like Stuxnet that people weren't supposed to know was possible. But because he was afraid he's losing his grip, he just went ahead and did it in Lebanon to have a phony win to give to his people so that they don't run him out of town and jail. They should have executed him. If Israel had any smarts, this guy would be like, he's worse than any criminal that you could conceive of. And so he keeps blowing it with the secret spy technology, just keeping himself in power. Did you know that?
So yes,
it's amazing.
So you know what's funny is I was in an interview the other day, and the interviewer asked me, Jimmy, would you have? A lot of people give you a hard time for who you've platformed, And
If you say platform, I want you to. Okay, I'm sorry.
and would you be willing to interview Nick Fuentes? And I said, let me put it to you this way: if I could get Benjamin Netanyahu on my show, nobody would say that I shouldn't do that. And he's the biggest murderous, maniac, psychopath, genocider in the world. So there's nobody worse than him. So if I could have Benjamin Netanyahu on my show, or Joe Biden, who's funding this, and nobody would look down their nose at me, then anybody's okay. So,
but are you going to dress up in a skin tight suit with cat ears so you can relate to him?
So
Are you going to become a cat boy?
Let's watch this again. So they have no homes to go home to, which was the plan all along.
Been pushed to the south. Dozens have been killed.
There's this false narrative about Palestinian journalists. More than 100 of them have been killed by Israel since the war began. And I take very few positions in the conflicts that we covered. But let this be a position that I take. Journalists, specifically Palestinian journalists, must be protected amid the war. The Israelis have killed journalists in drone strikes. They've killed them with small arms fire, and it's unacceptable.
I hope he's got protection from Pierre Omegid or whatever that guy from Breaking Points, because I don't know how he's allowed to say that on Fox.
I don't know how he was.
There's clearly somebody's agenda is with it. There's no way Fox would tell the truth about. Who would tell the truth about Israel? Who would on mainstream news ever?
If they a couple people did on MSNBC, immediately fired. Remember, Mehdi Hassan thought all his lying about the Ukraine war and the Syrian war and Russiagate would insulate him so he could tell the truth about Gaza. He was wrong.
Oh, looks like he was the nothing burger.
Yeah.
Not the Twitter files.
Yeah. So Glenn Greenwald says, major credit to Trey Yingst of Fox for calling attention to the fact that Israel has killed countless journalists in Gaza while permitting almost no foreign reporters in, as well as documenting and lamenting the flattening of a huge part of Gaza's entire civilian infrastructure.
Nice knowing you, Trey. I hope you got some kind of protection, because you're going to get your iPhone hacked on a plane.
You should,
for sure.
Yeah, and you should try to start a Rumble channel. That's my
a Rumble channel, maybe an Odyssey as backup,
or a Substack. And then someone says the replies to him are wild. The replies under his video.
What did Michael Rappaport say to him?
Yes, and Glenn Greenwald says he's a popular Fox reporter, does a lot of work documenting what's going on the U.S. border and foreign wars. So to see him simply describe the reality in Gaza that reflects poorly on Israel is something they didn't expect and simply can't tolerate. So it's funny, all the people who I agree with on Ukraine, I agree with on the border, I agree with on censorship, they completely go along with the genociding State Department, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and Benjamin Netanyahu, who's hated in his own country.
Well,
they completely buy that. And anybody who tells the truth about Israel, what do you support him? I had someone at my own live show. Who do you support, Hamas? No, you know who does? Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
I wonder why. And why do you think that is?
Hamas has killed less Israelis than Netanyahu did.
That's
Moron.
right, yeah.
By the way, online, when they go, the replies to him on this are wild. We had this story. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act is in effect. So that means America propagandizes you online with bots and troops. Certainly the Mossad does it. Certainly Ukraine does it. So when you say these wild replies, and they are wild, you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Keep in mind, there is strong ops, probably more than ever right now, because things are not going well for Israel over there. They're not winning. I don't know.
Well, wait till you see the next story. Yeah. Well, the one last thing I want to read to you is, no question, it's just incredible to see in real time how quickly people will turn on you for the slightest deviation from the approved script. Well, that's been coming from the Democratic or the liberals for the last 8 years. And now, so now the people, the conservatives turned on this guy over telling the truth about Gaza. I was the only one at the Rescue the Republic who even mentioned, hey, you know what? If you take away free speech from Palestinian protesters, that's also taking away your free speech. Again, the First Amendment is there to protect the speech that you hate. And if you can't stand up on principle for the person you hate's freedom of speech, then you don't have any principle. That's why Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, all those people, they don't have any principles. They're just fucking partisan hacks.
Well, Jimmy, I keep telling you, the purpose of mind control is to make those principles go away, and that way you can live with the cognitive dissonance of your things not fitting together at all. And then you start wearing wacky suits, or you get Kyle Kalinske hair. That's what the purpose of it is. It doesn't have to be you got strapped to a chair. It's subtle. The media has been dude, I remember 9/11 afterwards, the stuff I fell for, and the stuff I was like, shut up. No, it's not like that. That's the control. It's not like, it's really not ironclad. It really isn't. It's pretty flimsy. And as soon as people start noticing it, it really unravels. That's why we had that story where Hillary goes, if we don't, we're going to lose total control.
That's right.
Because they had that for a while.
Okay, over to Steph.
All right. Have you seen Michael Schellenberger's new piece about the Pentagon illegally hiding secret UFO program from Congress? I haven't yet. I'm going to check it out.
You see the article about the Pentagon child porn all over their computers with contractors? I think we covered the CIA one. The Pentagon has a huge problem with that.
Depressing. Sparky63.
Do you think they have CP in a folder marked UFO on their desk?
Break it off in BlackRock and make Ukraine Russia again. Sparky63. Remember when Turkey was blocking Sweden and Finland from joining NATO and then had a major earthquake right afterwards? Low dog, 1974. We have an epidemic of emptiness and shallowness in our culture. Obama, Kamala, and millions of other examples. Why? Childhood neglect, lack of connection, harms the brain and personality. Hannah, sir.
Okay, come here.
Back to Jimmy.
Okay, so I'm going to show you our new favorite video. Should I show it full screen or over my shoulder?
So you just intro it and then full screen.
Okay, so here's Misha. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. Let's watch.
Hello and welcome to a reading of True or False, the science of perception, misinformation, and disinformation. Let us begin.
Wait, Jimmy, can I see it?
Many things that go viral are fun or...
Hold on, you can't see it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Oh.
I'll just watch it on the live stream then.
Yes.
Yeah, watch the live stream.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right, see you guys later.
Bye, Betty. You're going to start it again.
Hello and welcome to a reading of True or False, the science of perception, misinformation, and disinformation. Let us begin. Many things that go viral are fun or just silly, but sometimes viral rumors lead to conspiracy theories. Take an example from 2016. Former First Lady Hillary Clinton was running for president. A casual comment made by people who did not think she should be president started a false rumor online, and it was mean. Her political enemies spread the story and made up details. At the same time, other countries were trying to disrupt the American election. Those countries spread even more extreme lies about Mrs. Clinton. Eventually, all this disinformation led to a bizarre conspiracy theory about her. The untrue rumor said Mrs. Clinton was kidnapping children and holding them in the basement of a pizza shop in Washington, D.C. The false story also said she planned to sell the children into slavery. This was a very mean false rumor. Almost as mean as when the Clinton campaign hired CrowdStrike to investigate their hacked servers. CrowdStrike then lied and said the DNC servers had been hacked by Russia, and of course the FBI relied on CrowdStrike's investigation rather than conducting their own. It wasn't revealed until 4 years later that CrowdStrike had no evidence of a Russian hacking. But by then, Russiagate was in full swing and images of Trump and golden showers pervaded our minds. Well, that concludes today's reading. Join us next week as we delve deeper into conspiracy theories. But don't worry, We will not be discussing the fact that the DNC made a payment to CrowdStrike just one day after Seth Rich's murder, because we all know the truth. Seth Rich, who gave information to WikiLeaks exposing corruption in the Democratic Party, was murdered in a botched robbery in which the robber forgot to rob him. Who was that robber anyway? My Nana? She can be so forgetful. Nana, don't forget your keys. She has a rich social life. I could really go for some pizza.
That's great. Fantastic. Oh, if you like this show, you'll love that sketch. Well done.
Yeah, right?
Fantastic. Nice job. Hilarious. Okay, Steph.
All right. Thank you,
Are
Misha.
we doing locals?
Yeah, we're going to do locals. So this will take me about 10 minutes. Does Jimmy need to do any reads?
I got.
All right. So stand by. All right. That was great, Misha. Thank you. She's so talented.
Oh, okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Wait,
I'm ready.
Back to Jimmy.
Hey, so mainstream media is unreliable and dishonest, and that's why you watch the show, right? How can you trust them when they're never told the truth about anything like Russiagate or Julian Assange, Ukraine, Syria, COVID? That's where our sponsor, Ground News, comes in. Ground News is an app and a website that gathers related articles from around the world in one place so you can compare the coverage, kind of like how we do it on this show. Let's look closer at the coverage of President Trump's attempted assassination, for instance. Ground News gives me instant access to more than 700 articles reporting on it all over the world with context on each publication's political bias. Factuality based on how subjective or objective their language is, and even who's funding those people. Comparing the coverage is absolutely fascinating to me. Corporate-leaning USA Today and ABC News downplayed the shooting by writing that Trump was moved from stage after loud noises startled him and rang out in the crowd. The Irish Times went as far as to victim blaming, adding that the assassination attempt might even help him win the White House. Right-leaning outlets like the Daily Signal and New York Post were quick to call out liberal media's biased coverage, reporting that their bias was on full display. Unfortunately, moments like these can fuel the fires of misinformation, and very inaccurate narratives can spread like wildfire. The only way to combat this is to stay informed through really diverse news sources, something Ground News simply excels at. I mean, they even created a blind spot feed to expose what the other side of the political spectrum isn't reporting on, freeing readers of any hidden agendas and political spins. With media bias just running crazy like it is, I can't recommend subscribing to Ground News enough to stay fully informed on topics with explosive headlines. Just go to ground.news/JD. That's ground.news/JD with my link in the description, and they're going to give you 40% off their Advantage subscription, which will give you unlimited access to all their analysis and features. Ground News.
So all we have is a metal plate, and we sprinkle on some sand. What you see here is completely formless. In other words, there's no pattern at all. Then we take a violin bow, and we're going to play the plate with the violin bow. You see a beautiful star appears on the plate. Now, that pattern that forms is basically the sound made visible, and it's kind of magic. And now what happens when we make this plate vibrate from an electronic piano? Isn't that neat?
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit
Isn't it swell? The memes make themselves. They found a rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you.
Shut it down.
If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators, and they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running the system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just moved babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, you know, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years all you've gotten is a slap in the face? All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.